It happens that top footballers just vanish from the scene. Sometimes the reason is more dramatic than other times, but they are people like everyone else, and the pressure of playing at the absolute highest level can take its toll on you. Let me refresh your memory on a couple of footballers that used to be in the spotlight all the time, but now you just haven't heard their name in a while. One of the more obvious ones is Samuel Umtiti. You could hear his name all the time after he won the World Cup with France back in 2018, probably mostly because of that song, you know. But today, it feels like he's disappeared from football. After his World Cup win, his career slowly declined. Although he was in Barcelona, one of the absolute best clubs there is, he played less and less and eventually made the move on loan to Lecce in the 2022-23 season. This was their first season in the Serie A for a couple of years after being promoted the year before. Umtiti played most games as they just managed to secure the contract for the next year. After his time with Lecce, he made the move to Lille in 2023, where he had not played much at all. However, there might be a bit more of a reasonable explanation to his career decline. Because during the 2017-18 season, Umtiti began struggling with recurring knee and muscle injuries while playing for Barcelona. When the World Cup approached, several doctors advised him to undergo surgery to prevent the issues from worsening. However, Umtiti chose to delay the procedure and played through the pain to represent France in the World Cup. Although he did went on to win the whole thing, the decision took a toll on his career. And since then, he has faced persistent injury problems and become widely regarded as injury prone. But since winning the World Cup undoubtedly is the peak of football, he definitely made the right choice. And he's 32, so it's not like he's way past his prime as a centre back either, but he has completely faded away from the absolute highest level which he was at before. Let's move on to Jordan Ibe. This guy is not really as famous as Umtiti and the other guys that I will speak on, but if you care for English football and maybe Liverpool in particular, you definitely remember him. He was in Liverpool from 2012 to 2016 and was regarded as a huge talent, often playing alongside or being subbed on to Raheem Sterling, Daniel Sturridge and Luis Suarez when Jordan was just a teenager. After 2 loan spells, he made the move to AFC Bournemouth, where he stayed up until 2020, and his time at Bournemouth, which was between 2016 and 2020, didn't quite live up to the expectations. He signed from Liverpool for a club record of 15 million quid, and he made 92 appearances, but scoring only 5 goals and providing 9 assists. After that, he joined Derby County in the Championship at the time, and then just disappeared to lower and lower leagues, and is today playing non-league football at Hungerford Town. He is only 29 years old, and he's also determined to make it back to the top level, and he has apparently had some issues with his mental health during his career, which could be a reason that he has spiraled downhill, but hopefully he can make it back. Alright, so the next one I have for you is Jesse Rodriguez. This guy graduated from the Real Madrid Academy and went through the B team to knock on the door with the A team, and I remember when he came onto the scene, usually as a substitute in the star-studded Real Madrid Galacticos team, and he felt like a Temu version of Cristiano Ronaldo, but in a weird good way. Like, he was fast, skillful, direct, and often rocking the signature long sleeves just like Cristiano did at the time. And he was seen as the huge talent that just had the oddly unfortunate quote-unquote situation of being at the best club in the world already and therefore competing for playing time against the best players. And even playing on the exact position as Cristiano Ronaldo on top of all of that. But he still got some game time and did well when he got the chance, with 94 appearances and 18 goals. But this was between the years 2011 and 2016, and he suffered an injury in 2014 that kept him from playing for about 9 months, which obviously slowed everything down. He eventually got his move to PSG in 2016, and everyone thought that this would be it. Now he would take off, but for some reason he never managed to establish himself. Instead, it turned into a carousel of loan spells. Las Palmas, Stoke, Real Betis, Sporting Lisbon, and the years just kept slipping by. In 2021 he signed permanently with Las Palmas and did fairly well, but after just a year he was off again, and this time to a Turkish side that I won't even try to pronounce it. And then to Sampdoria, then Coritiba in Brazil, and now he's playing for Johor Darul Ta'zim Football Club. Can you even guess which country this is? Well, the right answer is Malaysia. And if you ask me, that feels like quite far away from the stargazing limelight of the Bernabeu on a Champions League night. It's like his career just had a slow and steady decline from being the wonder kid at Real Madrid for just about 10 years ago, but with some upswings like his time at Las Palmas. Then there's Loris Karius, whose entire career trajectory was altered by one fateful night in Kiev. Signed by Liverpool in 2016 from Mainz, he was meant to be Jurgen Klopp's long-term solution in goal, and by the next season he had become the first choice. And although he might have had some shaky moments, he looked like a world-class keeper for the most part. But in the 2018 Champions League final against Real Madrid, everything unraveled. Karius made two catastrophic mistakes. First, inexplicably throwing the ball onto Karim Benzema for a goal, and later letting Gareth Bale's long-range shot slip through his hands. After the match, it was revealed that he may have suffered a concussion earlier in the game, which added some tragic context to the errors. Still, the damage was done. Liverpool signed Alisson soon after, and Karius was loaned out to Besiktas and then Union Berlin, and then he went to Newcastle in 2022 and was more like an emergency backup, and he was barely featured since. And in the beginning of 2025 he signed to his home club Schalke 04, that's now in the Bundesliga 2, and he is a backup now as well, so he is largely out of the public eye. Interestingly, he's perhaps more well known now for his relationship with Italian TV personality Diletta Leotta than for anything on the pitch. And his story remains one of football's most sobering examples of how quickly things can change. A single match altering a promising path forever. Okay, so do you remember Gabigol? Yeah, that's a name you haven't heard in a while, right? He was supposed to be Brazil's next big number 9. He moved to Inter Milan in 2016 with sort of a wonder kid label on him. But he struggled badly in Europe and eventually bounced back to Brazil in 2020 with Flamengo, where he found his groove again. His record with Flamengo is actually really impressive, with 78 goals in 166 games, but he never returned to the European spotlight. Instead, he just now in the beginning of 2025 joined another Brazilian club, Cruzeiro. For someone who was once compared to Ronaldo Nazario, he kind of vanished from the global conversations. And then we have Kelechi Iheanacho. He came up at Manchester City with huge expectations after winning the Golden Ball at the Under-17 World Cup in 2013, and he scored some big goals early on. But with Guardiola's arrival and fierce competition, he was eventually sold to Leicester. Though still talented, he never became that world-class striker that many predicted, and he's now playing for Middlesbrough in the Championship on loan from Sevilla. He's still 28 years old, so he's got some time left, but he's rarely ever mentioned in the top tier discussions anymore. I also have to cover Ansu Fati. He used to be everywhere. Just a few years ago, he was Barcelona's next wonder kid. Debuting at 16, breaking records, and being talked about as the next big thing. He had the composure, the goals, the flair, and when Barca gave him Messi's number 10 shirt, it felt like the future was his. At this time, people thought that he would be like what Lamine Yamal actually is today, if that makes sense. But now you barely hear his name. A serious knee injury in 2020 stalled everything. He missed nearly a year, and even after returning he never quite looked the same. He was less sharp, less explosive, less confident, and just lacking that fearless spark that he had early on. Between recurring injuries and a changing Barcelona squad, he slipped down the pecking order. And in 2023 he was loaned to Brighton, and even that flew under the radar. He's had flashes, but nothing close to his early form. The hype is gone, his name just doesn't trend anymore. And in a football world obsessed with the next breakout star, Ansu just disappeared from the spotlight. He's still only 22 and he eventually makes appearances for Barcelona here and there, but it's rare, and if it happens it's pretty much exclusively in the less important games when Hansi Flick wants to rotate the squad. His story obviously isn't over, but right now he feels like a player that the world kind of moved on from quietly and way too soon. Let me know if I missed anyone. And please like, comment, subscribe, but that was it for this video. Thanks for watching and bye.